Okay guys, so just real quick, I just wanted you to hear what this CPU cooler sounds like. So it's just a stock cooler, just actually quietening down now. Okay, so I don't have any screen capture software on this PC or connected to it, so you'll just have to watch over my shoulder as I explain things. That's the best I can do. So we have the ETH miner running in the top right hand corner there, and we have the Blago's burst miner in the left, and that's actually just detected a new block, so that's just fired up. You might be able to hear the actual CPU cooler fan. So it's like really maxed out. Let me just close that. So I'm going to shut both those down just so I can sort of talk you through. So this thermal margin, I couldn't actually find a good CPU temperature kind of program that would actually work on this motherboard and detect the actual CPU temperature. So we'll just have to work with this. So it's the AMD Overdrive app. The actual processor is actually overclocked, but it's just got a stock heatsink. So when it's run in boost mode, it goes up to 40 times 100, and it basically gets us 4 gigahertz. What we have is there's no voltage change, just on the stock voltage. But what we have is this thermal margin. So at the moment it looks like it's run at just under 59 degrees, but this is not actually the temperature of the CPU. This is actually the temperature between what they call like TJ max, which is the hottest the CPU should ever get. So at the moment that says the thermal margin is at 60 degrees, so the actual processor is probably run about 40 degrees, and we've got up to 60 degrees to get it up to 100. So this thermal margin, the smaller the amount is, the worse or the hotter your CPU is. So when it was actually using the Blago burst program for Burstcoin, the thermal margin was at like 15 degrees. So I guess at that point the actual processor was probably running about 85 degrees. So what we want to do is try and reduce it. Okay, so in order to reduce the actual CPU temperature and also the sound of it, which is one of the more annoying things almost in the actual temperature, is to replace the actual stock heatsink and fan. So what I did was I picked up this third-party cooler and fan, and I picked it up because it was quite cheap. I think it was actually less than £10, and it's going to help us out. So I'm really hoping this will help reduce the temperature and also reduce the noise. So what I'll do is I'll actually pull the whole system out, and then we will go through the actual upgrade process, and then we'll check on the temperatures and stuff afterwards. Okay, so I had a quick change of mind, decided that I'm actually going to do a quick unboxing first. So the product is called the Ice Edge Mini FS version 2, and it's compatible with most processors. So it covers a range of Intel processors and also AMD processors as well. I won't go through all of the ones that it actually is compatible with, but let's just say it's a fairly wide range. Actually, you can probably just about make it on the side there. I'm not too sure if that will focus or not, but that's all the ones covered. So let's take a look. So this heatsink and fan is it is, you know, a budget version. I'm not expecting too much, but just glimpsing at the top of it, it looks like my expectations are well in place, because it doesn't look amazing. Okay, so this is the actual business end of the device. So I knew the actual cooler itself was going to be pretty small, but I don't think I quite anticipated exactly how small it is. So the actual fan, I think it's about a 60mm fan, something like that. My other PC, or the cooler, has got like 120mm, which is sort of fairly standard. Some people even have two 120 fans. So this is half that. It is pretty tiny. So just looking at the side view there and the rear view, back to the other side. I don't mind the fan. I don't know, it's almost kind of I hate to use the word, but it's almost kind of cute in a way. It is a tiny little cooler. So if you really actually have a look on the bottom, I'll try not to get any thermal paste anywhere. Try and get that off without making a mess. So we've got some pre-applied thermal paste on the bottom, and then we've got 2 direct contact copper pipes that then run up through the channel, and then at the top there. I do kind of like this, I don't know, it's like an industrial floor kind of effect. It looks quite cool on the top. But it's, I don't know, like the quality of it's almost done in like a really cheap way. The actual fins are, I don't know, they seem to be almost too thin to an extent. Obviously you do want them fairly thin, but I don't know, there's something about these ones that just makes them look incredibly thin. So on the bottom, the actual main, or the bottom piece of the actual direct contact cooling block, you've got some extra aluminium fins on the bottom there as well, so that looks kind of nice. I'm just going to put this cover back on, if I can get it on there without smudging the thermal paste, just to protect that. And then you've just got the actual side mounting clips on either side there, and then we've just got a 3-pin power connector. So I think this is going to be working out okay for us. Just in the actual box itself, just got some standoff little plugs just for mounting, and then we've got this device as well. I think it's for the Intel, yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's for the Intel positioning, where you mount it and then you kind of plug it. Not too sure exactly how that goes, just going from memory really. But that's it, and that is all in the box. So we'll go ahead and fit that now, and then we'll see how it compares to the stock cooler. So this is our processor, which is an AMD A10 7700K, and it is just the stock heatsink and fan that we're going to be replacing. Okay, so let's proceed on. So there's not very much to these actual heatsink assemblies at all. In fact, they've kind of had like a very much same sort of clip system for about, I don't know, more than 10 years I'd say. I remember having I don't know, I think it's like what was it, like an AMD, it was like a K62 or something I think it was, and it had the same clip and locking system. So yeah, not much development has gone on that front really. Let's just give it a little jiggle. Okay, so our clip piece is actually off. If you just give the actual block. It's best to just try and give them a little bit of a shimmy off rather than pulling directly upwards, because what can happen sometimes, you will rip the actual processor out the socket. And also just need to disconnect the fan connector. Come out. Okay, so that's the fan connector out there as well. Okay, so we'll just have a quick look at our stock fan for comparison. So it's the, I don't know, I think it's about a 40 millimeter diameter fan, and then you can see there for the actual thickness, just your standard bare bones. There's no copper in it or anything at all, just very basic stuff. And just for like a side-by-side comparison, this is the upgraded heatsink, slightly upgraded. So you can just see the size comparison. It's obviously a lot chunkier, a little bit more mass to it, and I think it all should perform well. So sorry, just getting those in shot there. Okay, so I'm just going to clean up the actual processor now, just get the residue off there. So I've just got some paper towel and this stuff, which is like IPA or rubbing alcohol, which is pretty good for removing residue, thermal paste and stuff like that. So just put a bit on a paper towel there. Actually probably a little bit more. The only thing is the actual clip location is kind of slightly reversed to the other one, whereas the stock fan had the higher clip, or the bigger clip on this side, and the smaller clip on that back side. This has got the bigger one on the other side, but I think it should be okay. So from your point of view, so we want the actual fan on the right hand side, so all the air is moving kind of this way. So yeah, like that. I don't want to be putting it in this way, which will be backwards, because then it will be kind of fighting against this fan here. So let's just go ahead and just see whether we can fit the clips in. They're just kind of standard clips, so it shouldn't really matter which way we orient it. It's already got the thermal paste applied, so we'll just stick with the stock stuff. And I'm also just going to make sure that I've got enough length in the actual fan cable, which we have. Just double checking the actual clips are on good either side. I think what I'll do is I'll run the cable around the reverse and then under. Not too much damage, go in the gap. Just pop you on there. Okay, and now we can just reconnect that CPU. That's okay, so just want to make sure the fan's got plenty of clearance and nothing's going to pop it or re-jig it off or anything like that. So that should be it, we should be good. Okay, so the fan's installed. I'm just going to do a quick power up test, just to make sure the fan's rotating, everything's kind of working or looks as it should be. So we've got power, let's just okay, great, everything looks like it's turning and working as it should be. So we will put the case back on and power everything up fully. Okay, so the system's been running for about half an hour now. It has found some blocks and just been doing its normal thing. We've still got the ETH miner running in the top right hand corner and the Blago miner to the left hand side of the screen. Recording directly on the screen itself is a little bit basic, but it will do. Let's continue on onwards anyway. So with the AMD Overdrive app, we've now got it is only idling, so the thermal margin is between about 55 to 60 degrees, so that's given us plenty of overhead, but the machine is actually just idling at the moment, so there's no processor load. I need to find or wait for a block to come through, just so we can compare it on a like-for-like basis. Okay, so a new block has just come through, so you can see the frequency has jumped right up, the multiplier is up, and the voltage. The thermal margin is actually lower here, but it means the actual CPU temperature is actually higher, which is not great, and it's creeping towards a worse sort of scenario. The only thing that I'm noticing, which is actually better, is the sound. I think this is because the actual. I think this is because of the fan design and the fact that it's only a 3-pin fan. So what it means is that the actual fan is spinning at a constant rate. It's not being automatically adjusted according to the actual temperature of the actual CPU. So it's kind of a weird situation that we're in now. So the CPU is actually running slightly hotter, even though we've got it upgraded as a heatsink, but it's because the fan is spinning slower. So that means there's less noise, and that's actually one of the main things that I was going for. However, I was kind of hoping for some a reduction in the actual temperature as well. So that's not great. So we're going to have to come back and have another look at this and see what we can do in the future. Okay guys, so just to wrap up this video here, I just want to say thanks for watching. So in this video we almost accomplished something, but not very much. So the general idea was that we was going to replace our noisy and hot stock cooler for something a little bit better and hopefully quieter. And we kind of got halfway there. So the replacement cooler is definitely quiet because the fan spins at a constant rate, and it is much quieter in general. So, but the downside to that is that the actual processor is also running slightly hotter. So I think we might have to come back to this at another date with a different fan or design or configuration, and spend a little bit more money on something a bit more quality. The other options is to add like a 120mm case fan just in the side or at the front, and there's other options for that. And that's something that I might do in the future. So this is not like a super crucial or critical machine, and it's not one that I am super concerned about in terms of running cool and stuff. I just really wanted it quiet, because a lot of the time I do work alongside it. So really I was looking mostly for the quietness. Yeah, so I think I'll leave it there, guys. I just want to say thanks for watching my videos. I do appreciate you taking the time to leave your questions and comments and all that kind of stuff. I do try and get back to you guys. I do appreciate the interaction. And yeah, I'll be uploading more videos soon. So if you like this video or you'd like to see more like it, or maybe a different style of video, then just let me know. Till next one, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching.